in defense of Giselle's purple dress in Enchanted. As someone who is fairly active on the internet, especially in circles that discuss costume design, I've noticed a lot of discourse revolving around a very specific dress. This purple gown from the end of 2007's Enchanted. Now, I'll be frank and say that I like this dress and always have, so the fact that it seems to be widely acknowledged as ugly is confusing to say the least. Sure, compared to the rest of Giselle's wardrobe in the film, it's less ostentatious, but that's literally the point and doesn't make it any less beautiful. Today we're going to take a look at the symbolism and intent behind Giselle's purple dress and why it doesn't deserve such a bad rap. Let's get into it. For those unfamiliar with Enchanted or just need a quick refresher, the story is about Giselle, a young woman living in the animated land of Andalasia who is forcibly brought to the real world by the evil queen. Upon arriving in New York, she initially struggles to understand the real world and its complexities, but eventually learns to appreciate it for what it is, all while bringing a little magic into other people's lives. Although she's engaged to Edward, a prince she'd only met the day before, Giselle eventually falls in love with a man from the real world, Robert. Her story is one of maturation and acceptance. Life may have its ups and downs and is far from being a fairy tale, but it's worth it. What's important to first understand about the character is that she goes through not just an emotional and mental evolution over the course of the film, but a physical one as well. When we're first introduced to Giselle in the land of Andalasia, she is the definition of a Disney princess, unrealistic body proportions and all. When she's brought to the real world, in her wedding gown no less, they wanted her to look like a doll come to life, symbolic of how she currently lacks true emotion and feelings.
Now, if I could only find a place to rest my head for the night.
What kind of place?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe a nearby meadow or a hollow tree. Or a house full of dwarves. I hear they're very hospitable. You're unhappy.
Oh, I'm not unhappy. I'm angry.
Angry?
Yes, it's an unpleasant emotion. Have you ever heard of it?
Oh, I have heard of it.
Okay.
She has a full face of makeup, mile-long eyelashes, perfect curls piled on her head, and a giant skirt that makes her waist look teeny tiny in comparison. When I spoke to costume designer Mona May about the costumes, she said the key to transitioning the animated dresses to real life was with the details. Animation is a dramatized look at our world, with an overemphasis on silhouette and color. In order to recreate the animation for reality, you have to similarly exaggerate, hence the details on her wedding gown and its large shape. Giselle spends hours lost in the city, but is just as chipper as ever, unaware of how dire her circumstances could truly be. The following day, Giselle makes her own dress out of Robert's curtains, with the silhouette and styling heavily influenced by her Andalasian sensibilities, as well as the wardrobe her animated counterpart wore in the beginning of the film. Mona May said many of Giselle's dresses were heavily influenced by the Art Nouveau movement as a way of making the character look as though she was inspired by the past, in the way that many Disney princesses are. This blue dress is feminine and flowy, revealing how Giselle is still romanticizing the real world and ignoring its flaws. She's terribly naive. Considering she has a literal music sequence in the middle of Central Park and has doves at her beck and call, it's obvious that the character still hasn't fully understood or accepted how different the world is yet. It isn't until after her fight with Robert, where she experiences anger for the first time, that her character's clothing has a serious evolution.
What?
You make me so angry! I'm angry.
Are you alright?
I'm angry. I'm angry!
Her next dress is significantly toned down compared to her prior one. Still beautiful, but less ostentatious and fantastical. You can see her becoming more human, shedding the layers of her fantasy persona. Her hair is flatter, the dress shorter, and more modern. The dress is still soft and feminine, but compared to her prior dress, it's significantly less saturated in color, further showing the growing separation between her current self and her cartoon self.
What's wrong? Oh. I'm not. Well, I'm sorry. I was thinking.
Thinking?
There's also a sense of romance with the off-shoulder dress as she's beginning to develop feelings for Robert, even if she doesn't fully realize it. Now that she's begun to understand the world, its disappointments, and its pain, she has to shed all of the poofiness and silliness that she began with, leading to the natural progression of her purple gown, the most modern of all. They simplify her look to show her progression by giving her a sleek silhouette, minimal makeup, and straight hair. She isn't a doll anymore, but a real woman with real feelings. When designing the dress, Mona May decided on the mauve shade as it felt most appropriate for the character. Giselle is feeling melancholic because she's about to leave the world, hence why it isn't a true purple, and the color itself is an obvious ode to her character's role as a princess. The dress also reflects how conflicted the character is feeling as she's currently torn between two different men, Robert dressed in blue and Edward dressed in red. Mona May also wanted the other women in the scene, Nancy and Narcissa, to have purple incorporated into their wardrobe as a way of further showing the differences between all of the women. Nancy is yearning for her fairy tale ending. Giselle wants to be a real woman in a real relationship, while Narcissa is the quintessential villain on a quest for power. You also have to keep in mind that the film was released in 2007, so Giselle's dress was designed with those trends in mind as opposed to ones from 2020. Think about the prom dress from Pretty in Pink, for instance. However, I still think the dress in Enchanted holds up quite well. Mermaid or trumpet silhouettes are considered classics for a reason. And try to tell me that the dress doesn't look absolutely fabulous on the dance floor. Mona took inspiration from Ginger Rogers, and it shows. The only thing that might stand out as distinctly of its time is the gunmetal halter accent, but that again serves a purpose as it's a way of tying the femininity of her character to the toughness she later evokes when rescuing Robert, a way of referencing the sword that she uses to fight Narcissa.
My, this is a twist on our story. It's the brave little princess coming to the rescue. I guess that makes you the damsel in distress, huh, handsome?
By juxtaposing her wardrobe with the rest of the party guests, we can also see that Giselle is destined to always stand out. When she began the film, she looked like a princess surrounded by characters who were in casual clothes. Now it's the other way around. Everyone else wants to be in a fairy tale, but for her, New York is the dream. She's accepted that even though the real world is scary and unfamiliar, it's the place that she wants to be. What are your thoughts on Giselle's purple dress? And are you excited for the Enchanted sequel? I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye!